Begin transmission.
This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
And of course, right before I decided to go live, my internet went down to one bar, but I think it's back up. Let's see who all's in the chat today. Looks like Bjorn Jorgensen's here. He's ready for a fun day today, folks, and that's what we want. No Way Farms is in. Good to see you. Hope the piggies are doing well. Of course, my buddy Largo will be here shortly with us. He's in the chat as well. Let's see who else has showed up. Radical Toys is in the house. Adam, we may be seeing him later on today. Just stay tuned. Shaitan's Hammer, good to see you in the house. Glad you showed up today. And Gojitron is here. Good to see you there, Goji. Thank you. And Gojitron says that he's multitasking, listening to stream, watching Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, and editing some new videos. I can't wait. Boba Hicks is here. Good to see you, Boba Hicks. Ruski Relaxation, good to see you, man. Glad to have you in the chat today. Christian Homburg is here as well. Good to see you, Christian. A big hello from Germany. Good to see you there. And let me go ahead and bring us up. There you go, Largo. What's going on, my man?
Not too much. Just enjoying a sunny Sunday, listening to my buddy Eduardo give me a serenade.
Okay, and Radical Mom just showed up. Good to see you, Radical Mom. Let's do this. Let's get these overlays off the screen here. We're going to start bringing in some folks. At least one that I know of. And maybe somebody that you know, as a matter of fact. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, I see what I did. I thought I had fixed that. There we go. Now. And let's bring Adam here into the house and unmute him. I hear Eduardo back there.
Hey guys, what's going on? How's everybody doing?
Hey, doing pretty good, man. Looks like you brought the Kermit the Frog on the show.
Yeah. Well, I thought we were going to do some frogs today, so I was like, hey, I'll just do Kermit instead of Frogmonger, because I was going to bring Frogmonger on. I was like, I'm going to do Kermit the Frog. I was watching them up.
I like Kermit. I like Kermit better today. Looking pretty good there.
Is it true, Adam? It's not easy being green.
It's very, very true. I'm always sick.
Oh man. Christian Homburg's asking me what's going on with Rolo. He's doing okay. As well as he can right now. He was on the show last night for a little bit, so
yeah,
just
he's in good spirits.
Hang in there,
doing pretty well.
And let's see who else we got here. Lack Sivrak here in the house. Hey, Lack, what's going on, my man? Good to see you.
The man with the best hat in the business.
All the regulars are here. We've got 13 folks hanging out today, so that looks pretty good. Still
13
working on.
Is my lucky number.
No, it's down to 12. Somebody decided to bow out. Come back and see us again sometime. Lack says he's doing great. Hope everyone's doing well. Hey man, I'm doing fine. Didn't sleep work crap last night, but that's okay. I stayed in the bed. I forced myself to stay in the bed, so I'm doing all right. I know somebody though that stayed up all night long, because when I got up to watch Morning Vintage over there on Super John Super Awesome Geek Show, guess who I saw in the chat over there and got on the show with me as well.
Was
I was
it
going to say, I
Eldor?
want to give our buddy over there. It was Eldor. No, it was me.
What a guess.
I did run into Eldor though. He was over at Zazel's show this morning too. Well, wee hours. So yeah, I've been up a while, but I've been doing the social butterfly thing, been having fun. I had a great time this morning with the Super Awesome Geek Show. I like that.
Yeah, and I love it. He comes on early Sunday mornings, and he it's basically vintage toys that he shows off. And the toys he showed off today were a line that I had never really was aware of, and they were some awesome toys. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Largo?
Yeah, it's a toy line that was made by Coleco in the late 80s and carried on into the 90s called Star Command. And it was a tie-in with the NASA Space Camp program. They were trying to promote getting young astronauts involved, and they had a cartoon on Saturday mornings for a minute, and it was really cool. It didn't last long, but while it was here, they did some great toys, and I like it. It was, to me, it was like the next evolution after, they had Major Matt Mason and then Starcom. Those are like the best space toys, vintage.
Yeah, and I know that Super John brought up something that, this morning that we might can touch on a little bit. At the time they came out, action figures had gone from being 3 3/4 inch down to about this tall, about half the size. And he said that, and I don't know if that was speculation on his part or whether he'd actually researched it, but it sounds true that plastic is made from petroleum. And at the time, petroleum prices had gone through the roof, and it was getting kind of cost not cost good to make action figures. So in order to keep prices from going up, they reduced the size of the action figures using less plastic, leaving the price the same. And he was talking about with the astronomical price increases that we've seen in our hobby with to Origins even has gone up in price. All the action figures that we like to get at the 6 inch scale or 5.5 to 6 inch scale up to 7 and 8 have gone up to the point where we have to decide, do we want to collect them all anymore? And I've come to the conclusion, no, that's not going to be the case. Do you think we're going to see a reduction in size of action figures going back, harkening back to the days of old when action figures became smaller?
That's an interesting question, Bill. I don't think so. I think that the current adult collectors are really into the 6 inch, and there have been a couple companies that have tried going back to the 3 1/4 or 1/18 scale. Some have been successful, and some not so much. So there's definitely two camps. There's guys who like the smaller pocket figures, and guys who like the 6 inch, and you know I don't see the larger scale going away because you've got better sculpts, better articulation, things you just can't do on that smaller scale.
I was thinking, if anything, we're going to go bigger. If anything, we'll go to like 8 or 9 inch will be the new norm.
If Toddy Mack had his way, everything would be bigger.
Well, and this has been a long time ago. This is probably back right around the time Peter Capaldi became Doctor Who on the Doctor Who television show. Character Options was doing a 5 inch line of Doctor Who figures that was very, very popular. I was big into that. And then they went and released all of the previous Doctors all the way back to Bill Hartnell's Doctor, the first Doctor. And it was doing very, very well. And then all of a sudden, they decided to cease production of the 5 inch figures and move to 3 3/4 inch. And that did not go over very well at all with collectors, especially the adult collectors who were heavily invested in the 5-inch line, and it just didn't work, and they up phasing out that 3 3/4 inch line and going back to the 5-inch line for the most part. I mean, it's not what it was, but yeah. So
Yeah, that was
I
a
can see
misstep.
that. I know. Yeah.
Well,
Let's
in
see
a
what Goldie's
situation
trying
like
to say
that,
here. Petroleum
especially.
price.
Mhm. Go ahead.
Petroleum prices caused Haitian Cyborg to shrink to Micro Man, which turned out to be a game changer in the toy industry. Yeah.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because it
Yeah.
was that microman articulation that led to what we saw with the vintage Great American Hero GI Joe, among others. I mean, Mego borrowed from that as well, I think, when they did their Dukes of Hazzard and the Black Hole figures and some others. So yeah, it's a great scale, and it's been very popular for a long time because it's the best scale for, it seems, for doing vehicles and accessories.
I just wish we could
Ian
get.
Sweeney brings up a point here.
I just
I
wish we
missed
could
you. What
get
you
like
say that?
6
Say that
inch.
again, Alan.
Go ahead, Adam.
Oh, sorry. I just keep cutting you guys off at the wrong time.
That's okay.
I was just saying. I just wish we could get 6 inch vehicles in general in retail. Besides, like Masters of the Universe seems to be the only ones that do it. Besides Fortnite.
It's hard
Yeah,
to
they
do
seem
6 inch
resistant.
vehicles. At least okay, they're reluctant because the 3 3/4 inch is the perfect size to make a vehicle line to have action figures with them. If we remember, Star Wars was about the spaceships, and the little action figures were an afterthought. They said, okay, we'll make figures to go in the spaceships because that's the way kids want to play. They want to put the figure in the spaceship and then play with the spaceship. But when you go to 6 inch line, it's hard to make a playset for them because it's too huge. It's hard to make a
Yep.
vehicle for them because, once again, it's too huge. So our 6 inch line tends to be mainly uh, just the figures and accessories to go with the figures, the small accessories that come with them. Ian Sweeney says it looks like McFarlane has finally conceded defeat, and the base price of DC Multiverse is going up £2 to £3, which is what about $4 to $6 here in the U.S. I would imagine. I don't know what.
Yeah, McFarlane has been very
Blue side.
vocal about saying he did not want to raise prices unless absolutely necessary. So, cost of materials and production is definitely going up.
And Shaitan's Hammer says I only buy Motu at 5.5 inches. These things are either too big or too small. Yeah, and I agree with him. I think that the as far as the Origins line goes, that is the perfect size for He-Man. I think.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people like the Masterverse line because of its more articulation and more sculpting and all that. Kind of reminiscent of the old classics line that was done years ago that people got heavily into, but. I don't know it. The Origins line just brings back all the memories of playing with He-Man because they're the same size.
Right, and very tactile. I do like the added articulation of the newer ones.
And Ian is like our friend Wilhelm. He likes that 3 3/4 inch size.
It
It's
is
just a
popular.
3
People are
3/4
still
inch
making it.
is a size. Yeah, if you want play sets, you want vehicles and stuff like that. 3 3/4 is the way to go now. Mattel has been releasing they're almost 3 3/4 inch. I think they may be a little bigger than that. I've got a Spider-Man and Captain America that I bought last year. Figures.
Oh, you mean
that are
Hasbro's their Legends like classic line? Yeah, they
yeah,
have the
yeah,
5 POA to them. Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yep.
and I've seen some people say that they don't understand who those are for because they look like they're marketed for collectors with reminiscent card backs of the day. Yet collectors don't seem to be wanting that. It looks like it's made for children, so that's a confusing line.
My speculation is that Super 7 and their reaction series became super popular. And most of the collectors who buy those don't take the figures off the card. The card art is part of what you're collecting to put on the wall. It's art for the wall, really. And Marvel has tied into that
Well, I have
because
to
you
admit,
notice the ones they're doing
I've never
are
taken mine out of.
right. I mean, the card art is very nice on those, and they're doing the vintage style, 60s and 70s costumes, which that's right in our lane, so to speak.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're
Late
definitely
Silver Age, Bronze Age. Yeah.
mhm. It's like I would
And
love to
yeah,
have a classic Falcon to go with my classic Captain America in the 6-inch, but they've just never really made it. But they did make it in that line.
yeah, they
The
did.
Chetan Shammer says a good point too, because the Mondos are great sculpts, but they're too big. But not only that, but I find they're just out of the average person's reach because of the price value. But they are
Yeah,
fantastic. I wish I could afford them.
they're near like Hot Toys prices, but the sculpts are beautiful.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
fantastic.
they
That
are.
The She-Ra is my favorite one. I want it so bad, but it's like it's just out of my reach.
Yeah, the Battle Cat they recently talked about is just phenomenal,
Yeah.
and all the different facial features. And does it come with a Cringer face too, or does it come with a little separate Cringer? I
Yep,
don't
he
remember.
actually comes with a Filmation Cringer face. He comes with
Mhm.
another face that's like more of a modern take of Cringer's face, and yeah, he's got like 3 or 4 different heads.
Yeah, if I had the wherewithal and the shelf space, I would definitely get the Battle Cat and He-Man from Mondo at least, just because they're such great centerpieces.
Yeah.
Ian Sweeney got a question for us. He says, "Does anyone else find that with the updated figures in lines such as TVC, that they
The
lose some of
vintage
the
collection.
that they lose some of the stardust that clings to those earlier figures, Snaggletooth, for example?" I'll let you guys reminisce on that in chat too, because you know I'm not into that, so I don't know the vintage collection. I haven't even started collecting those. I got a few Black Series, and we'll talk about those in a minute.
Yeah, it's kind of it's kind of
Goji
an odd
Talk.
duck, similar to like what you're talking about with the Marvel Legends 5 POA little ones. Oh yeah, Goji and I are about in that same
Yeah,
area.
same here. I mean, I had what talking commando. You pull his dog tag out, and he would say something, and I can't remember what he would say.
Hmm.
He had the real furry beard on his face and the fur on top of his head, and
Yep.
for the 8-inch Migos, I had Superman, Batman, Robin, all of Batman's villains, Batcave, Batmobile, Batcopter, all 8-inch Migo. And when the Star Wars people came out, we heavily invested in those. I had a
Oh
really
yeah.
extensive collection of those, and I had a X-wing, a Tie Fighter. I think I had Darth Vader's Tie Fighter, a couple other things,
I definitely
and
find it affected your play patterns because with the 12-inch Joes, I had the Adventure Team Joes and the fuzzy head Kung Fu grip guys. Really, you couldn't take one or two of those unless you had a small suitcase if you were going somewhere. The
yeah,
Migos,
and
the
they
cloth
well
suits
they
and
came.
stuff were a little fragile. So,
Yeah, you could buy the Foot Locker. You remember the Foot Locker that had
right.
all the gear in it? Yeah, I had one of those too. And Sir, I Like Salt has come in the house. Good to see you there, Sir. I Like Salt. Enjoy yourself, and we're just talking toys today.
The greatest thing when everything went to 3 3/4 was now you could have a whole slew of people and just stick them in your pockets of your jeans and go for it. You could take the adventure a lot easier. And they didn't have the soft
Yeah,
goods,
yeah,
so
yeah.
they were more durable.
And as a wee lad, sticking Luke Skywalker in your pocket was an easy thing to do, but carrying a fully articulated 12-inch Joe to school was out of the question because you knew the teachers were going to take that away from you. You're probably going to get beat up on the playground by your buddies for having a doll at
Right.
school. So
But you could
there you
sneak a
go.
stormtrooper or somebody in your pocket and get away with it.
And stormtroopers were cool to have in your pocket anyway, right?
That's right.
Let's see what Ian
Speaking of,
says here. Although they come, go ahead, Adam.
I was just gonna say, speaking of soft goods, does it really cost that much money to make like, say, a wired cape or something like that? Because I find like the action figures now, especially like stuff like Masterverse and stuff. Their cloth goods are very, very flimsy, cheap material for their capes and stuff.
Well,
I don't
the
know.
thing is, I don't think that that's automated. I think that a Chinese person has to make that cloth, and if a wire is installed, I think that has to be sewn in by hand as well. Now, I'm speculating. I'm not saying that's what it is,
Right.
but in my mind, that's what I'm thinking that it is. That it
Well,
goes. It's like paint apps. More
yeah.
paint
On the
apps you got, the
upside,
more
though,
figures you cost.
for customizers and entrepreneurs, there's a whole new market of third-party seamstresses and people who do custom capes and custom jackets and all kinds of things in the 1/12 scale, and also in the 1/6 scale, the GI Joe scale. Those are still popular with customizers as well. So it kind of opened up a new market, and it gave us some variety. So in a way, that's good
Uh,
that
I,
you know.
let's address Ian here for a minute because he brings up a pretty good point, but I think there's a reason why those aren't around anymore too. Although many complain it's too expensive to make vehicles for 6-inch lines, such as the original GI Joe and Action Man had a huge range of vehicles and places. Yes, they did, and they are no longer with us either. And
Yeah.
when when Hasbro was releasing the GI Joe figures of our GI Joes in that scale, that's all they were doing, one or two figures, and that's it. There was nothing else to go with them. It was kind of now Barbie gets away with that because Barbie still has both sides of the aisle over there in the girls section on her pentagram.
She's got the dream
She's
house and
making
the RV and the Jeep and who knows what. Our GI Joe's adventure team, we had like a 6-wheeled adventure craft of some sort, kind of a dune buggy, and then there was a Jeep. There was a few things in that bigger scale. Oh yeah, Big Jim too. And Big Jim was kind of around that Motu scale, wasn't it? Somewhere between 7 and 8 inch.
It was
So
it was a little taller than Migo, just a tad taller, but a lot shorter than GI Joe.
oh sure. And then there was the Super Joe, which was that weird thing in between. I remember getting a Super Joe for a Christmas present. I was like, I don't know what this is. It's not fruit nor fowl or no what. It doesn't go with my Big Joes. It doesn't go with my Amigos. I don't know where he goes.
I remember the Big Jim ones and the old Joes. Didn't the old 12-inch Joes, weren't they pretty articulated though, like in the elbows and all that stuff and the wrists?
They were. They had well, again, I had the ones that came later, which were the adventure team, the fuzzy head and the kung fu grip. They had a slightly different body style than the earlier 60s Joes. But yeah, they did have great articulation. That was one of the big selling points, was that you had a fully articulated fighting man that you could put in all kinds of poses. He could hold his weapons and accessories. That was a whole new concept at the time.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Yeah, because they came with a lot of accessories and
Oh yeah,
it was mostly cloth goods they got for clothing, right?
yeah. They had full suits and uniforms and
take them all.
Tons of gear.
You could buy uniform sets. You could buy just sets of clothes.
Mhm.
And of course, you could take all the clothes off the dog, make him naked, and you could go over and get you some more clothes and put on him. It was kind of like Barbie for boys.
Well, yeah, and they did the same thing with the $6 Million Man and a few others. Is you would have adventure packs. So if you had him going on an adventure, he'd get a new suit of clothes and some accessories that were specific to he's going into space or he's going undercover or what have you.
Right. Pretty interesting stuff. Yeah, I remember those because I remember when I was a little kid, I might have had maybe one or something like that. I do recall having one. And they didn't. Some of them have like the flocked hair or something like that.
Yes, those were the Joes of my age, the adventure team guys. Most of those in Hasbro, they were the adventure team. I don't remember what Palatoy. I think Palatoy also called them either action team or adventure team. Goji would know, I bet. But they also, it's kind of one of those things where Palatoy took what Hasbro was doing and then improved on it. So like the eagle eyes, I don't know if you remember that. They had a little thing where you could move their eyes back and forth. That was a Palatoy innovation.
I didn't realize
and then
that.
yeah. I don't remember if Kung Fu Grip came from Palatoy or if that was a Hasbro thing. Somebody would know.
Well, I
But
remember
either way,
I remember when
they
GI Joe came out with Kung Fu Grip. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a whole slew of that stuff, and I remember that it was right at the end of the Vietnam conflict, and having action figures based upon military was growing out of faction. So
right.
GI Joe was kind of rebranded the Action Force. The military uniforms were replaced with jumpsuits, and he was more inclined to go mountain climbing or
Or
driving.
squatching.
Yeah, yeah, going hunting or something like that. But it was moving away from being a force, a, a war force, or
Right.
soldiering to adventuring, going mountain climbing and what have you.
Yeah. And the
Do you
same thing with the
remember?
Big Jim
Do you,
series. The Big Jim series was all about sports and fishing and hunting and manly man stuff.
Yeah, and of course a few villains thrown in there that weren't
Well, they came later.
military based. Yeah,
Right. That was when the Wolf Pack came. That was like towards the end of the line.
right. And Shaitan's hammer's gone over to a laptop instead of his phone. Yeah, and folks like me and old Largo, we're so old that we go in the living room and cast it on the TV set and watch it like TV.
That's
But
right.
yeah,
Next to our rotary dial phone.
I have a rotary dial phone somewhere in the house. The phone that's sitting on the desk over here beside me is actually an old touch tone phone, but it's a desk model, big phone. And
The
it,
sad
it
thing
still
is
works.
you
there
guys,
might be some youngsters around in the chat who don't remember the rotary dial. I don't
Well,
know.
there was a YouTube series where they would bring the kids in the room and bring out something like that and see if they could work it, and they would be confounded by the
Oh
rotary
yeah.
phone. They couldn't figure that. What do you do? What do you
Look,
do with
kids,
this?
this is an 8-track tape. What?
And
do you
party
guys
lines, yeah, we
remember?
experienced that.
Do you guys remember? Like, I think they called it the CB radio, and they used to have them like in the vehicles and stuff.
Oh, those were
Did
That
you
was
guys?
super
that,
Did you
that was
guys
popular.
have
that
those?
was a craze. That was a
Yes.
craze right around the time I was 6, 7, and 8 years old. CB McCall put out that album. What was it called?
Convoy was our
Convoy. Yeah, there was even a really crappy movie made after that. After a movie made
right.
after a song.
The
Okay,
song.
and everybody had
Smokey and the
CB radio.
Bandit was big. And I don't know if
Yeah,
that got imported into Canada, but you remember BJ and the Bear?
yeah, I
That was a
remember that.
popular show.
But
Is a
I don't think we
everybody
might
had a
not have
CB
had it.
radio. Dukes of Hazards had CB radios. Everybody had CB radios,
everybody.
and it was actually a thing. I mean, it was kind of like
Yeah.
our internet today. People would actually talk to each other on CB radio. You could go to certain channels, and there would be just people talking. And of course, nobody knew who each other was because you all had what was called a CB handle. So everybody was
Right.
operating under nicknames. Yeah,
10
there you
forward,
go,
good
Ghost.
buddy.
Yeah, there
Hey,
was a
Estrada
whole
must have
lingo
been in the
that went
house.
with that.
Hey,
Yeah, I
Estrada
see you
missed.
there. It's good to see you, my friend. Hope you're feeling better. I know you were sick last night. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a whole bunch of books that came out where you could learn how to speak CB lingo and understand what they were saying on there. I remember Daddy kind of got into that a little bit when I was a little kid. He liked to listen to him. He didn't participate, but I remember we have an interstate highway that runs down through here called Interstate 55, and on the CB radio that was called the Double Nickel.
My CB radio name is Bug.
Oh, Paula said she had a CB handle too, and her CB handle was Bug.
Aw.
I was just gonna say, what was your guys' handle? Because my sister used to always talk on those, and their handle was Little Bo Peep.
Yeah, it
Nice.
was always something like that. I remember we had a fella here in town that was he was the town constable. That's what we call the one policeman we had back when I was a kid, the town constable, and his CB handle was Big Mac.
So what was the evolution there, Bill? Because it was like ham operators, you had to have a license and there was a lot of rules to it. But
the ham
Citizens
operators,
Band,
you had to
CB was
yeah,
different.
you had to apply for an FCC license to get a ham radio because of the strength of the broadcast. At
Okay.
night, you could talk to people overseas on your ham radios. I
Wow.
mean, and ham radios are still used to this very day. There are a lot of ham operators. There's ham radio operator shows out there. You can listen to radio shows on ham radio that are being broadcast. They're also used, I think, still to this very day in the case of natural disasters. When
Mm-hmm.
communication lines are gone, there's no way to communicate. These ham operators can bring their radios online and they can help with communication issues. Now, that went to what was called the Citizens Band radio. That's what
Right.
CB
That's
stands for.
CB.
And that was a set of frequencies that were available for anybody to use, except for
Now,
Channel
I'm
9.
gonna
Which
ask you to put on your tinfoil hat for a second, Bill. What do you know about
oh,
those number stations?
I know a little bit about them, and that is a rabbit hole that if you fall
Indeed.
into, it's deep, man. Uh, are they Russian stations? And the thing is, they'll operate for like just a few minutes a day, and just code words are said on them.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes some of them just have a frequency that plays, and then suddenly the frequency stops, and somebody comes on and says one word, and then the frequency goes back to playing. And it, for years and years, people thought that this was a way of spies to communicate with one another or to get messages to people who are doing nefarious works undercover inside of different
Like
countries.
Cold War leftover stuff, maybe.
Yeah, but the thing is, the shit is still going on to this very day. These number stations are still operating and still doing the same shit they were doing 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago. There are people who do nothing but spend their life monitoring these damn stations.
I
I know the
imagine.
government. I'm talking about people
Right.
like you and me who have nothing
Oh,
better to
sure.
do with their lives except monitor that stupid crap. But yeah, it's out there. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh yeah, there's talk about weird, fantastic. There's some stuff out there, man, that I
That's some
don't have
weird
an answer
stuff right
to.
there. And I'm telling you, I'm warning you. Okay, I'm warning you guys. If you guys go down that rabbit hole, look to have the next at least several days of your life wasted sitting there going down this. This is a deep rabbit hole, folks.
Indeed.
Yeah, and of course, Lack Siverack is well aware of what we're talking about. So yeah, the Wonderful World and the Fairies could be the name of a GI Joe villain. Okay. Um,
I like nefarious.
well, guys,
That
getting on to
sums up a few
a little
people.
different subject. Getting back into toys for a minute. Uh, uh, you don't probably know this, Largo. I sent a picture to Grindhead Jim yesterday. So I slept in a little bit yesterday because it was my day off. So I slept to the hour of 6 o'clock in the morning.
That's late for you because you're an
It
early
is.
riser.
So I got up out of bed and I kind of shuffled into the living room to go find a cup so I could go in the kitchen to make myself a cup of coffee. And my lovely wife had gone into the pile of cardboard that's over here and had brought a bunch of that into the kitchen and had started going through it. And I was like, oh, God, here we go. But what she was doing, she was trying to consolidate some stuff into some other boxes and get rid of some cardboard, which we did. But when you go and do things like that, things that you forgot about show up. So what we
Ah.
have here
Oh, we got the deluxe
now
set.
these
The
yeah
deluxe set Boba
these
Fett.
things are significantly different from one another. Yeah, they're significantly different from one another. But this guy here, I bought, and then I put him in a box and forgot all about
Mm-hmm.
him. And I think it's last year, and it's probably in a toy hunt video. I found this guy here on the shelf, and I was just I think I even said in the video, I think I got this figure at the house, but what the hell, I walk around with him in my hand, and then I was going to put him back on the shelf when my wife runs up and she says, "I want Boba Fett," and she grabbed him, and I'm like, "All right, we get Boba Fett now." So,
Well, you can tell by the coloration and the belt that one is from Empire and one is from Return of the Jedi. I
that's
think the
correct.
jetpack's
That's
got a little
correct.
different color too.
Yeah,
It
I have
does.
that. I have the one on the right hand side. All those muzzle effects, they will plug into the jetpack.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I
this
only
is
have the Empire
yeah,
one because I like that.
this is the yeah, I like the coloration on this one better than I do this one here. Oh, this one here has got more accessories, and he's got the jetpack flames and all that stuff. So that's kind of cool. So, I thought I would show that off. I know in the clickbait thumbnail that I put up, I was talking about all kinds of stuff that I have been working on as far as customization. I can certainly go into that if we end up having time today. But I just we were just having a great conversation about toys in general. But yeah,
Yep.
we went through and I found a whole bunch of stuff. Hell, I found uh, this is just stupid, but I've got behind me back here. I've got a paper craft set of Foreman's Yard, which is
Mhm.
from the very first episode of Doctor Who. It's where his TARDIS was being hidden at inside this old scrapyard called Foreman's Scrapyard. And I had been working on that for years and years and years. And one of the things that I wanted to have in it was an old fashioned lamp post, with it's kind of shaped like this, and I can't describe it, but you know what I'm talking about if you saw it. Some people used to have them in front of their homes, small versions of them, but the old fashioned English lamp post was in the picture of the set, the actual set. And I wanted that for the set over here. And I'd found one on Evil Bay that was from, I believe, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde model kit that Aurora Models had put out way back in the day. And I'm a member of a Facebook group where people, swap stuff like that around and buy and sell it amongst each other. And somebody on there said, "Yeah, those eBay prices are ridiculous. I've got one that I'll sell to you for a reasonable price." And it's in the little lamp part in there is even made out of glow in the dark plastic. And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll take it."
Cool.
So it's just this little lamp. I think it's about this tall, and I had made a base for it, and then I had to take some stuff down and put some stuff away, and then I misplaced it. And I'm
Mm.
like, did it fall on the floor? I've been looking for it for like the last 2 or 3 years. Well, damned if it wasn't in one of those boxes over there with some other paper craft stuff of mine. So I found it, but now I don't know where that box went when she put it all back up.
Uh-oh. But at least you know
Caitlin,
it's not too far away.
yeah, it's here. It's here. Do you ever find either of you guys ever find yourself going, I know I've got this, but I don't know where I've put it.
Every day.
Is that the rooster I keep hearing in the background, Largo?
Yeah,
That is
that's
Eduardo.
yeah, that's Eduardo.
Does
That's
that
right. That's
rooster
his
wake you up?
nemesis.
He
No, he doesn't know when
no.
to crow.
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't really know what time it is. He'll crow at 2 a.m. when it's black as pitch outside. He'll crow during the day. He doesn't care. Just whenever he feels like it. So I've learned, much to my chagrin, that even if I have the window closed and everything, as quiet as possible, if I'm trying to record or do anything like a live stream, that rooster will just pierce right through, right into the mic. So he's become part of the show. I'm not fighting it.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, if you watch, I think one of the latest videos Largo did, the rooster wouldn't shut up. So there's a little icon in the corner of a rooster, and every time Eduardo would crow, the rooster would move his head up like it's actually Eduardo
Well,
in the corner there.
that's why you want me to do a cartoon rooster. I get it now.
Yeah, he's become a meme, sort of.
Well, he's become a part of Largo's show to the point to where it's expected these days. I believe so. Yeah, even when Largo's on my show, I can hear Eduardo back there holding court there in his hen yard.
I might just have to get one of those, outdoor wilderness cameras and we'll get an Eduardo cam going 24/7 and just his activities.
Well,
posted.
you can actually have two streams going at once on YouTube. You can have a live stream going, and you can live stream over here while that live stream is going on. I didn't know you could do that, but Hebro does it all the time with his 3D printers. So he'll when he throws a 3D print on, he'll get a camera and go in there and get it going live on YouTube and let it
Yep.
watch the printer go all the way through to the end. And if he wants to live stream over here in this room, he will, and let that one keep on going. And damned if you don't get some viewing hours doing stuff like that, because people will come in and watch 5 or 10 minutes of the printer going and come back an hour later and watch another 5 or 10 minutes, see how far it's gone. You know what I'm saying? All that
It
racks
is
up.
kind of interesting. Yeah, it's like the old. You remember those old TV channels around the holidays? They just put on like the fireplace and the Christmas music, and they'd run that for 12 hours or so.
Well, I've joked about it, but I wasn't really joking because I'm probably going to wind up doing it. But as you get closer and closer and closer to getting the number of viewing hours you need, I've seen this happen a dozen million times, and I may do it myself. That somebody will take about an hour or two of easy listening music and royalty free, of course, and get a little bit of royalty free footage of like a drone camera flying through the desert or going over the ocean or something like that, and put it on top of it, and then upload it to YouTube, and then just let people watch it. People will put that on in the background and just watch it all during the day, and you rack up the viewing hours. And like you said,
that's crazy like a
Fireplace
fox.
yeah, fireplace cam is the same idea. You take a loop of a roaring fire in a fireplace with some the crackling in the background. Maybe even put some little bit of a real easy ASMR listening music in the background for people to sleep by. Yeah, that'd rack up the hours.
Yeah, that ASMR stuff, that's another rabbit hole of weirdness where they'll do, people getting their hair cut.
Oh,
There'll
yeah.
be I mean, just all kinds of things. That's just some of it's peculiar. I mean, some of it I understand could be relaxing.
Some of it's damn peculiar. Some of it's damn peculiar and not safe for work. Some of it is fine. And raindrops on a tin roof I can deal with. Air conditioner in the background, fan noises. That's fine. But I don't know, licking microphones and stuff like that. That's going kind of in a wrong direction, in my opinion.
I agree. But maybe I can get some rooster
Let's see,
ASMR.
Ostradamus Toy says he did a 6-hour stream for New Year's, and it was a lot of fun. We got you beat on that one. We did almost 8 hours. We Largo and I went for like 7 hours and 42 minutes or something like that.
I lost count, but we paid for it the next day.
It was ridiculous because we started, I want to say around 10, 11 o'clock at night. And when we got done, it was time to go watch Super John Super Awesome Geek Show. I mean, it was just like that. And I didn't get a wink of sleep that day. I come straight in here and did this Sunday hangout right after that without sleeping. And I told myself I would never do that again. That's one of the reasons why we've set up a way to make this show end at the 2-hour mark. And we've done damn good at it since we started doing that.
2 hours seems to be about as much as my posterior can handle being in the chair, so it works out.
Yeah, it can get very tiring, and believe it or not, just sitting in a chair can hurt when you get to be our age. So, Adam, what's the longest that you've ever ran a stream for? I'm just curious.
Probably about anywhere between 2.5 hours to 3 hours, and that's my live unboxing. Like I've done ones where I'll do the character, and then all of a sudden we'll just keep talking about random toys, and next thing you know, 3 hours has gone by.
It can happen.
Apparently, we're putting Boba Hicks to sleep.
Well, time zone difference, yes.
Shaitan's Hammer says, I sleep to YouTube fans and fires last night. It was a Dune audio book. Yeah. So, stuff like that can do it. Lack says that he's done about 4 hours and it was solo. Yeah. I don't see how you do it solo. because when I first started out, I felt like I was talking to myself. And thank God there were a few people in the chat room for me to respond to. But I found that I work better with a co-host, somebody that can ask me questions and I can ask questions back to, because unlike Brian Head Jim, I can't sit and monologue. It's hard.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I like to have somebody to bounce ideas off of.
All right, No Way Farms. She says it's lunchtime. Thanks for help cooking and having the time pass by quickly. Take care and say hello to the piggies for us.
Yep.
And Blue Harvest Toys
Take
is in
care.
the house. Good to see you, Blue Harvest. Hello there, he says. And
Hello.
Lax Sivrak says, you. Blue Harvest says, Lax Sivrak, you have some nerve. And Lax says, I lived alone in the woods for a long time. I'm used to talking to myself. Well, there's that.
As long as you don't
And,
answer back, I think you're okay. It's when you start having those long conversations.
The advent of cell phones and ear pods, you see people walking around talking to themselves all the time. I thought they were all crazy when I first started, and then I realized, okay, they're talking on the phone.
Or they make you think that maybe the phone's not even on. They're just trying to look normal. Well,
do you remember when cell phones first came out? You could go buy a fake cell phone so you could walk around and make people think you had one, even when you didn't.
Yes. Or the ones that you could put in your car. It looked like you had a car phone, because that was a big thing.
Yeah, but to me, all that was like, please come and break the window out of my car.
Yeah.
Melmore here in the house.
You guys
Melmore,
remember
is old.
Do you guys remember the invisible dog leash?
Yes.
Yeah, I had one of those.
What the heck was that all about?
It was a gag.
Okay. Yeah, it was a gag. There was down in Pensacola, Florida, on the beach, there used to be a wax museum, and it was run by Universal Movie Studios, and you could go in there and you could see wax figures of Frankenstein and all that. And there was a little fellow walking around dressed up like, different Universal monster creatures. And it was a wax museum. So when you go in there, you pay your whatever it was, a couple of bucks. You go in, you walk through this wax museum, and there's all kind of horror crap in there. Somebody hanging in a hanging cage over a roaring fire, and just all that kind of stuff, and creepy music playing in the background. Well, at the end, at the exit, when you walk out, you exit into a souvenir shop. And the souvenir shop is filled with all kinds of stuff like fake blood, you can pour on your hands or into a
whoopee cushions,
makeup, cushions. And the invisible dog was there too. So what you do is it's basically looks like a regular dog leash, but they put a flexible wire in it and a little dog harness down at the end, like you got the dog harnessed. And you walk around with this in your hand, and it makes you look like that you're walking an invisible dog. So yeah, it's just a gag. Yeah, you can still buy those in costume shops.
Yep.
Let's see what's going on here in chat. What do we have here? Easy. I won her fair and square. Talking about his the mothership there, I do believe. And World made a cardboard in the house. Melvor, I don't suffer from insanity. I enjoy every minute of it. Thank you. That brings everything back around again. So caught up with the chat. Yeah, don't suffer from insanity. Enjoy it.
Yep. Like Grandpappy used to say, when the world goes crazy and you just don't know what to do, just go with the flow. Just jump right in.
Sometimes you got to go along to get along, I've heard, but I think too much of that's been going on. But I'll just leave it at that. There is a place where you have to make your stand, but you have to decide what hill you want to die on.
That's true. And fighting the rooster was not it. I'd let him win.
I get a kick out of that friggin' rooster. That is hilarious.
I think the rooster is a signature part of Largo's lair at this point. I think you've actually hit upon something there. People will tune in just for Eduardo.
That's it. They won't come to see me, but they'll come to hear the chicken.
or to
Uh,
at least see what you've done today to deal with the fact that he's back there causing all that ruckus.
yeah. Yep. Never know. Never know when he's going to show up.
Never know.
I'm
So
surprised.
Adam,
I'm surprised.
what have you picked up here lately? I know that I didn't get a chance to watch it. You loaded up that figure one of the figures I sent you, I think Lady J, the other night.
Yeah, I did her live stream there Friday. Did a comparison with her. Loving that G.I. Joe. It's on my shelf right next to Baroness, and I've got a couple Masterverse figures coming. I got She-Ra coming. I'm debating on if I want to get a custom cape for her, like a wired cape, and then I got who else do I have coming? I can't remember. Oh, I got Frosta coming. So she's on her way. So we're gonna be doing because her hair changes color in the water. So we're gonna be doing her
Oh,
too.
okay.
And I'm supposed to be doing a trade up here with one of the group guys, Figure Lee. I can't pronounce his name. Something speaking. Oz knows who he is, but we're doing like a trade, and
Figuratively speaking.
that's him.
Speaking.
Yes,
I
yes,
know exactly
yes,
who you're talking about.
yes. And supposed to be getting. I think I'm getting a Roton from him. I think I'm finally gonna get one. So that's kind of what's going on with me.
Okay. Have you,
Okay, here
I'm
we
partial
go.
oh, go ahead.
I used to have a rooster living next door to me, says Boba Hicks. He randomly disappeared one day. My 6 cats looked a little fatter in the aftermath of his disappearance. What a coincidence. Well, I know Lolo wants to cook Eduardo really, really bad.
He keeps trying to give me recipes.
Yeah, well, I don't know that roosters is as good at eating as those good old frying hens, but I think we talked about this the last time we talked about Eduardo. There is a delicacy here in Mississippi called rooster fries.
Yeah, I'll pass.
Did,
Thanks.
did you go and look that up after we talked about that?
I did not, but I let my imagination wander.
Well, your imagination probably went in the exact right direction. Let's see. Shaitan's Hammer says, I need a Roton and a Sky Sled, but I don't want Adam. Yeah, that was a mistake. Instead of putting
Yeah,
Prince Adam in the pack with that, they should have put an army building figure like the Attorney and Guard or something like that. Wouldn't that have sold?
That would have been
I'd have
better.
bought 2 or 3 of those even before they went on sale because I'm an idiot like that. But with Prince Adam in the pack, no.
no.
World Made of Cardboard has a point. Eduardo might be part raptor. Dinosaurs did, evolve into birds of sorts, as far as we know.
Thanks, Carl.
Yeah.
Back to customs. I think I was touching on this on the open mic show on Friday. I didn't get a chance to cover any of that last night, but my next thought is to make an Arak Son of Thunder action figure based upon the old Remco figure. I've got body parts on the way, and the parts I'm going to use, I'm going to use the chest and arms from Hulk Hogan. And what I liked about the Hogan figure was, I've got a chest and arms coming from the chop shop. I'm not going to mess with mine over here, but he's got that Hogan orange looking suntan on it, and I think that's going to do well as a Native American or an Indian action figure. And they put his arm wraps. All they did was just color his arms white right here. But if you look at the Arak action figure, he had cuffs on his arms that had paint apps on them that made them look like they something Native American. Well, I think I'm going to get some Sculpey clay and make it look like that those are those cuffs, and then paint the paint apps in there. So I think that'll work. And for the bottom, he's wearing what we used to call leggings. Native American leggings are kind of like chaps, and he's got a loincloth in front. Well, I've got the loincloth coming, and I think I'm going to repaint Mankind's leg, and I'm going to use Fun Man's boots. So I've got Fun Man boots, and I've got a Mankind back here, so I'm going to use his his legs and probably his waist for that figure. So stay tuned, folks. I'm working on another one.
Did you ever showcase the Origin Stratos with that neck piece?
I did show a little bit of him. You want me to bring him out, Adam? Would you like to see him?
Yeah, because I've been wanting to see it because I've got the mini comic Stratos. I'm just waiting to find a Stratos in my area for Masterverse. And as soon as I do, I'll pick one up.
Right.
If it
Well,
fits.
let me tell you this: what I had to do with him. Now I didn't have to, but you're gonna want to. There's a kind of a lip going around all the way around that collar, right as where it touches the neck. What you want to do is get an X-Acto knife and cut that lip all the way off so that head will sit down on the peg and move around with that collar on it.
Okay.
Oh, so otherwise it hinders the articulation.
Right.
So you'll be able to move his head up and down if you don't do that. Let me see if I can find him in one of these boxes. I think he's in this one here.
Well, Adam, while he's rummaging around out there, I was going to ask you. I know you're partial to the ladies in Motu and the She-Ra line. Have you taken a look at those Action Force ladies that are coming out? They're looking good.
Yeah, I was going to actually ask you if you were getting Pandora because she reminds me of Zorana.
Yes, I've got them all on pre-order. I've got at least one of each because I love the sculpts. And Pandora is I read her comic book because Bobby put out a what they call the Mission Files, and he did a whole comic book about that character because she's got a very interesting backstory. And did the same thing with Eclipse, which is another one. And I like where he's going with the story. You know, he's creating really good, interesting female characters that, you know, they can hold their own against the guys as far as you know, being tough warriors.
Yeah.
Speaking of tough warriors.
Oh man, does that ever look good? Like that actually fits really good.
That definitely dresses it up.
I did take a little slight modification to where it touches the neck up there so that the head would be able to go up and down. So his head articulation is not as hampered, but you pull that head
What are
off.
what are you using for his waist? That's not the mini comic waist. What is it?
It is the waist that comes with him. But what I have here, if you look in the mini comic, he was wearing a red belt. That red belt looks just like the one that was in the mini comics, and that was 3D printed by Talos Dream Shop.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
let me show you how that fits on. It's basically just it's just a one piece here. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that.
3D,
so that's just a 3D print then?
That's just a 3D print. They cost a few bucks from Talos Dream Shop out of Belgium on Etsy. And I had a collar that he had made, but the collar that he had made is a little flimsy, and the parts here and here are just a little small sliver of plastic, and that broke right out of the box. My fault, basically. And I had replaced that with little pieces of thread. But as you can see, the collar he's got now comes from the Masterverse Stratos, and it's full collar. It's all the way around him, and it's made out of a nice, flexible vinyl-like material. So, and it's also two different colors. I don't know if you can see that.
Is that the Masterverse or the Savage He-Man feet? What are you using for the feet?
Those feet are made by Lee Customs. They are what's called beastly feet. He makes them in various colors. You can get Skeletor blue, you can get Beastman orange or Beastman red, and you can get Stratos gray, and you can get Stratos flesh tone. And the feet are actually made from a sculpt from a Marvel Legends figure. If I'm not mistaken, it's Sabretooth's feet.
It looks like
Yeah, they pop right on. I mean, the joint is the same, so they pop right on and they work right well. Now, the lighting makes it look like that they're a lot lighter than they actually are, but they are a little lighter than his legs. But I don't think that matters too much in the long run of schemes. It makes him
Right.
look more like he did in the mini comic. And of
Now you
course, the armbands that I have underneath his wings there came from Rey Mysterio. So, and
Yeah,
then we
you
have
said the Master or the Stratos from Masterverse, the red wings, they don't fit, do they?
they do fit, but what happens is they stick up about this far above his head, and they hamper the
Oh,
boot. They actually touch his head when you have his arms moving around. So you can make them work, but I gave up on it and just put his old wings back on him.
I can't
Bill,
wait to
Bill,
get
I'm going to
I
step
can't wait
away
to
for
get them
just a
now because
moment.
that neck piece.
Sure. You go ahead, Largo. It'll just be me and Adam here for a minute.
Yeah. Yeah, that neck piece is wonderful. It fits perfect. I was afraid that it was going to be too big, but it looks like it like suits him.
Yeah, it's perfect. In my opinion, it's pretty much perfect. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know if you saw it when I popped the head off, but you could see where I had made an incision with a razor blade and had gone just right around that little lip that's on there, and took just that little piece off. And then the head popped right on, and I didn't have to force it on, and it didn't. And he got a little more of his articulation back, where he could kind of move his head this way and this way a little bit more. And I don't know, if I get a wild hair in me, I might pull that razor blade out and take a little sliver more of that plastic off. But right now, I think he's fine. What do you think, Adam?
I think it's perfect. It's pretty flawless. I think it's awesome. I can't wait to get mine now.
Yeah, and if you look there, I think the camera's bringing it up pretty good. Let me bring myself up kind of big again, where you can see it there. Um, that collar is actually two different colors. Do you see that? It's kind of
Yeah,
more
I see like
glossy.
I see like a dark red and then a lighter type of red at the end or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of the feathers nearer to his head are glossy red, and the feathers on the outside nearer to his chest are all a dull matte red. So it's kind of more than just a molded piece of red plastic there. It's actually really nice in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's perfect. Because my
And of
brother
course,
picked
Radical
me up
Moms.
my brother picked the mini comic Stratos up for me for the origin. So now I'm just waiting for Stratos to come in my area and I'll pick one up.
Yeah, I think you'll be real pleased with them. You might just like the Stratos figure by itself. It's an
Oh, I
excellent
know I
figure.
will. I know I will. I've seen some reviews out
Excellent
of it,
figure.
and I think it looks great.
Yeah, it's an absolutely excellent figure. But let me get back on the camera here. There we go. But yeah, that's my Stratos mini comic figure. The one that people so love to refer to as Naked Stratos, when he's no more naked than any of the other Motu figures.
Right.
And if you guys want to, I'll bring out some of the Galaxy Fighters, Galaxy Warriors, and Remco Origins customs that I've done in the past, and we'll just kind of just look at what they look like.
Yeah.
Put
Yeah, I
Stratos
think
back
I
in.
think I'm gonna go for like a custom wired cape for Shira because I don't like the fabric that they're making for the Masterverse.
Have you found a source for that cape?
I do. Yes, I actually have. I found one off the Canadian Amazon website, and it's actually not that expensive, and it's for the 112
Okay.
scale. So I think I'm just gonna go for that.
Oh, somebody just subscribed. My buddy Customs is just subscribed. Thank you, my buddy's Customs. Thank you for subscribing today.
Yeah,
Appreciate that, man.
great.
Let me find the case figures here. here we go. All right. Got my case out here. We'll look at these action figures real quick while Largo is taking his break. I may have to take me a break here in a minute.
Yeah, I'll probably head out here as soon as Largo comes back.
Zoom out here where you guys can see better. The original figures that I did, I've got Iguana. I'll find a place to put this case box for just a second. All right, here's Iguana. And Iguana's got an axe from the weapons pack. If you remember the weapons pack that was released for a vintage Motu, he's got he's wearing vintage bad guy armor from the Galaxy Warriors, and he's got the bad guy shield there that's got the old skull with the horns on it. And basically, he's a man at arms body with I think that torso's from Skeletor, and he's got merman feet and boots, and I painted the boots black to match the waist.
Yeah, he looks really good. Like it just makes me think of Frogmonger and what people are going to do with him because of the green.
And of course the head is by Lee Customs, and it's just a cast of the old original Iguana head. And people have commented, well, the Iguana's head is a different green than the body. Well, so was the figure back in the day. So there you go. It looks just like it did back in the day, basically. And then Travis Morgan, the Warlord, with his reproduction cape that I made from felt, and his sword. That sword is a repro recast of the original sword.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Next guy I got here is Batoon. Batoon is an evil galaxy warrior or galaxy fighter. And he's got an eye patch on his eye, and he's basically a Keldor body and repainted boots and waist and stuff from Faker.
It looks like the Royal Guard shield.
Yeah, I got the Royal Guard shield and halberd there that he's holding. The next figure that I'm going to bring out is my Conan figure that I worked on. Adding his boot knife here. And the boot knife and the boot knife holder are from Talos Dream Shop. I'm putting the knife in the boot knife holder here. And I've got a repro sword like the one that came with the actual figure back in the day. And this is a big sword. And here's Conan. As you can see, there's his boot knife. The original figure came with something similar to that. And I've often wanted to have some kind of a harness or something around his waist. So when Papa Shango came out, I thought that Papa Shango necklace would be a perfect necklace for Conan to wear. So I appropriated that.
Yeah, it actually suits him pretty good.
The next figure that we're going to bring out is Baltard. Baltard's kind of goofy looking. He's got a top knot. He's got pointy ears and kind of a funny expression on his face, funny looking eyes. And he's wearing Centurn's armor, vintage. And he's got a vintage Galaxy Warriors, Galaxy Fighters shield, and a sword from the vintage Motu weapons pack. So here he is, and he's got purple waist and belt and purple boots, and he's got Rey Mysterio's chest and arms, and so I thought they matched a little better. And the Rey Mysterio figure actually came with removable cuffs. So I painted Rey Mysterio's red cuffs a purple color so that they look more like the rest of his kind of a blue / purple color. And finally, the final figure that I'm going to bring out is the last figure that I worked on, and that is Hercules from the Lost World of the Warlord line from Remco. And what I'm putting in his hand right now before I put it on camera is his Hercules staff. This is a vintage staff that I found from a seller on eBay. It costed probably too much money. And of course, Lee Customs head. And there he is.
Yeah,
That
looks like a good one.
Yeah, let me get that out of the way and bring him down here where you can see him a little better. So what we have here, we got Hercules with Lee Customs head. Bring the light in a little better. There we go. We got Lee Customs head. We've got a standard He-Man book for the arms, chest, and legs. We have Space Sumo's boots repainted to a leather-like reddish brown, and the waist is Pigman's waist.
What piece are you using that's going around the Hercules' neck?
That is some thread that I bought at Walmart. You go over to the sewing section. It's a company named Simplicity that makes this. It's just some trim.
Okay.
And what's nice about this stuff is it's stretchy colored.
Oh, well, that's a neat idea.
And that, to be honest with you, Adam, that's it was a little thicker than this on the original figure, but this is the same, almost the same stuff that they used on the actual figure back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very same stuff that they used on the figure back in the day, Adam. So that kind of brings us to the actual customs, and even the what I was showing off in the clickbait thumbnail that I made. So there you go, man.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, eh? I like that stuff.
Pretty much. And
I got to get into a little bit of customs too. I haven't really done anything custom wise yet. I don't know. I don't know if I have that type of skill to do that type. Like, I know I can't do like the head sculpts or anything like that, but I don't know. Maybe my imagination or whatever.
I can't do head sculpts. I can't do head sculpts, but I can. I don't mind spending a little money and supporting Lee Customs over there. He does the best head sculpt. Let's see what the chat's saying about these. Bjorn says, "Show us the customs." Radical Mom says, "Keep them coming." No Way Farm says, "About an hour and a half to cook and 10 minutes to consume." All right. Lack Sivrak saying, "Customs for the win always." And let's see, going on down. Let's see. He says, "What paint am I using?" Actually, the paint that I used on Hercules was Tester's paint. Tester's model paint, acrylic. Get the acrylic kind, and it works best because it's water based. No Way Farm says, "Conan for the win," and Ostradamus digs the Conan figure. Let's see. Lack Sivrak says, "Excellent work on all of them." Thank you, sir. I'm no artist, but I do try. And Bjorn Jorgensen says, "Sweet customs." Mary Otwell, that'd be Radical Mom, says, "Fantastic job. Well done. Thank you. Thank you." And No Way says, "They're all amazing." And we're all made of cardboard, says they look nice. And he also says, "So Bill, you modeled for the bodies from those figures?" No, I did not. And Blue Harvest Toys says, "I'm customizing Action Force." Yeah, and if you're customizing Action Force, the man who all you see is his icon right now over here beside me, who will be back shortly, is the man to talk to because he's into customizing Action Force as well.
Yeah.
And Bjorn Organ says that he has a Tiger King classified Valaverse custom in the works. Well, we'll have to see that sometime there. And No Way Farm says, "Not sort of toys, but not necessarily anyone do Warhammer or 40K. Yes, that's a lot of people like to play that role playing game or it's a kind of a fantasy game with the Space Marines and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And let's see, Blue Harvest says the real Action Force, not the modern TAT. Okay, you're talking about back in the day Action Force action figures that were kind of G.I. Joe style, and some of them actually just were G.I. Joe towards the end. Yeah, okay.
Cool.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yes, sir.
Adam, I need to take a break. I need to take a break myself. What I'm going to do while Largo's out, and of course, if Largo comes back, he can fix this back. But I'm going to play a commercial real quick, and I've got business.
I'm gonna head out anyway, there, Bill. I got things I gotta do.
Okay, all right, cool deal. All right, we'll see you later, man. Glad you stopped by. Here we're gonna play some commercials, guys. How about all right, bye-bye.
And now this message. The ultimate evil, Darkseid, attacks. His horde of villains spread chaos and destruction. But now they face Earth's mightiest heroes. The Superpowers Collection explodes into battle. It's Kenner's Superpowers Collection. Figures with power action, each sold separately.
Who's Batman's friend? It's Firestorm. Squeeze him. His power action will destroy evil. Evil like Calabac with his Beta Club or Desaad with his lethal shock machine? We shall see.
The Superpowers Collection. Batman, Firestorm, Calabac, Desaad, and other figures with power action, each sold separately from Kenner.
Introducing that king of fun, the one who's okay with us kids, the Magic Burger King!
In person?
Yay!
I'm the marvelous magical Burger King. I can do most anything. Now watch me, kids, when I twist my ring like magic.
We're at Burger King! Is my Magic Burger King?
I'm the marvelous magical Burger King. I can do most anything. I love magic and food that's fun. So I'll make a burger disappear, make it come back here. Turn apples into pies right before your eyes. Turn onions into rain.
As we can see,
Put a shiver in the shake. It's easy for me. I'm the marvelous magical Burger King. I can do most anything. I love magic and food that's fun. So
you got fun for everyone. Burger King, yay!
Day after day, Toothopolis stands behind its beautiful wall of teeth, ever vulnerable to the cavity creeps.
We climb to make holes.
The cavity creeps. I'll call the crest team.
The siren. The cavity creeps must be near our beloved wall of teeth.
Yes, at the upper back molar.
Hurry into the Crestmobile.
Crest, protect us!
This is a good spot for a big hole.
We must fight the cavity creeps with our fluoride.
Take this, cavity creeps.
Crest! No! Drat that crest.
Yay! Toothopolis is saved!
The cavity creeps are a constant threat to every Toothopolis.
So you must fight with us.
Have regular checkups.
Watch treats.
And brush after every meal with C-R-E-S-T.
Don't pout, check it out. Zach's gonna show you what work's about.
It's the blob, it's the blob.
I am the future blob.
Without a job, without a job.
I am the future blob.
What can I do?
No need to panic, no need to get scared. You can make the future by being prepared. Ask what do I like to do? What jobs are suited to me?
I like to skate. I like to go bowling. But my favorite hobby is cutting and sewing.
You can get going, plan a business sewing. It's your job, your future job. There are many jobs you can train for. Seamstress tailor, costume designer, alterations, pattern maker.
I am the blob, the future blob.
It's no blob when you plan for a job. Don't be afraid, make a career and get paid. Do your job, plan for a future job, and you won't fear the mean old future blob.
get a freaking job, you bums. I love Zach. He used to tell us all to get up off our butts and go to work and make some money. Uh, you back, aren't you, Largo? There you go. Here you
I am
load in,
back.
man.
My back, my front, and everything.
All right. Adam had to take
My
off there, and I had to go out for just a minute. So I played a few commercials while we were out. Did you catch any of the commercials?
I did. I caught quite a bit of it as you were exiting out. I was coming back. My wife is having a girls' day out, so I've got 3 dogs that are unsupervised. I have to make sure they're not getting into mischief because when
I
they're
can
not,
imagine. I can imagine.
yeah, if it's
Yeah,
chewable, they'll find it.
the little girl has a sewing machine possessed of the future blob.
The future blob. Now,
Yeah,
Bill, I was going to ask while we had the commercials on, I had a thought. Can you pull up your Motu inspired Remco Conan again on your toy cam?
sure can.
Because
Take Hercules to the back and bring Conan to the forefront here.
there you go. I'm going to pull up my magic Largo cam here and see if it'll work. There we go.
Not too bad. I think yours looks a whole lot better than mine
Yep.
as far as looking exactly like Conan would look. But this is more
Well, and
reminiscent of
that's
the
on purpose. Right. I just wanted to compare and contrast. Now this was made by a company called Mezco, and it's their version, and it's based on the Frank Frazetta paintings. So it's definitely got that Frazetta style face. But I was looking, the necklace, the loincloth, the whole style.
Is that cloth goods loincloth on him?
It is, and it definitely
Wow.
is very similar. It's reminiscent of an actual pelt. I'm not sure what they used, but the fabric looks pretty cool.
No,
And
I didn't make a Tarzan. Actually, this Tarzan. I'm gonna bring the Tarzan figure out for Lack.
Mhm.
The Tarzan was made by a company called Trend Masters,
Oh,
and
okay.
at the time it was made was in the late '80s, around the same time that the legendary Hercules Journeys TV show was on TV. They did a Tarzan television show that was in that same style. Do you remember that? Maybe
Vaguely.
vaguely. Yeah, I've got them on DVD. I acquired them. Let's just say.
Mhm.
But let me bring him back over here to the big cam for Lack. That's uh that's the uh that's the Trendmasters Tarzan figure. He came with a Tarzan Yell action feature. The button cell battery is long dead, but there's a button there on his chest. I think you might be able to see it there on the cam that you would push and he would yell. But
Yeah.
he came with a spear and a shield. He came with his parents' locket around his neck, and he also came with cheetah. Although he never had a cheetah in the actual book series, the figure
Right.
came with a cheetah figure here. Some light there on it. Maybe you can see
Now
him more.
I remember a TV show. I guess it was in the 70s where he did have Cheetah as a companion. I don't remember the actor, but
Ron
that was
Eli.
a very
Is that
popular.
Ron? Was that the
Yes,
Ron Eli TV series?
I believe so, because that was a very popular series at the time. It was on about
Yeah.
the same time when the live action Shazam was on Saturday mornings, and there were a couple other live action heroes that got the treatment.
Now there were two different sizes of the action figures of Tarzan that Trendmasters came out with. There was this size here, which is more of a 5.5 inch scale, not quite 5.5 inch, a little smaller than the Motu figures. But there was also a larger line, and it had the same articulation, this simple 5 points of articulation, but they were more. I guess Barbie / GI Joe size figures as well, and they also came with
Okay.
removable armor and stuff like that. Now this was the series in the toy series where they kind of crossed over Tarzan with John Carter of Mars, because at the same time that they were doing this Tarzan series, Trendmaster also did some of the only at the time, John Carter of Mars action figures that were ever done. They did John Carter, Deja Thoris, and they also did Tars Tarkus.
Right, the big green Martian. I remember that.
Yeah, the Martian who had four arms, 2 legs, and 4 arms. He had 2 torsos on him, so that's kind of how that worked out.
Yeah, John Carter's always gotten the short shift when it comes to adaptations, it seems.
Wasn't there a shorter set of Tarzan action figures that were more likely John Carter? Well, like I said, they came out with several different sizes. They actually came out with even smaller figures with no articulation that were basically little rubber statues as well. And that may be what you're thinking of. Michael from Manic Plastic is just coming home from work. Good to see you there, Michael. Let's see what Carl says here. There were the Conan and Sinbad shows around that Hercules time as well, and I think Sheena, the as well. And let's see, the Tarzan Filmation cartoon series that World Made of Cardboard is referring to here is probably one of the best adaptations of Edgar Rice Burroughs's books that there ever was. It isn't perfect by any means, but it's about as close as you're going to get. And that Tarzan cartoon series was what actually introduced me to the real Tarzan in the first place. And I'm not talking about Johnny Weissmuller. He's got his place. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of that too. But when I watched this Tarzan series, he actually used the Mangani language from the Burroughs books in that cartoon series. So I already knew who Bolgani the gorilla was. I already knew who Tantora the elephant was. I already knew who Numa the lion was. So when I read the books and I saw, and he actually had the little monkey that he had in the books that rode on his shoulder, Nikima, was in the cartoon series as well. So I knew all of these characters when I began exploring the Burroughs books, as my dad would buy them and he would read them, and then he would give them to me and let me read them. And my God, I was like, all of this I've already seen in this Filmation series. So it was like I already knew these characters before I started reading them.
Mm-hmm.
And
yep,
he did
I remember the Zorro.
Well, they did Zorro as well.
And was that about the same time the Flash Gordon Filmation was done, or was that?
Yeah, it was right around the time Flash Gordon was done in the late 70s. What happened was Filmation actually did a motion picture Flash Gordon, but it was I think it was done as a special on television, and it was like 1 hour or maybe 1.5 hours, and they reused the cartoon cells from that to do the Saturday morning cartoon later. But that Flash Gordon cartoon series, I want to say it came out around the same time as the Dilo De Laurentiis live action film with Sam Jones.
Okay.
The Flash Gordon, the pilot, that's what I call it, movie. I actually have that. I acquired it as well. That is probably one of Filmation was good about this. Whenever they would do something like this, they would actually go back to the original source material and try to copy as much of that as they possibly could. And the Flash Gordon is one of the closest adaptations of Raymond's original comic strip that you're going to find anywhere.
Right. At least the first season. I remember the first season was very much the episodic classic.
The first season was done as a serial. In other words, it had each episode was a chapter
with
1,
a cliffhanger.
chapter 2. With a cliffhanger.
Gotta have a cliffhanger.
Yes. The second season was where they went off the rails because the serial nature of that didn't work well for Saturday morning cartoons. And of course, we didn't have a pink dragon sidekick in the original as well. John Carter, like Sivrex says, he needs a John Carter custom when he was still a Confederate Army officer. And that's correct. He was a Confederate Army officer. And Susudio has woken up. Hey, Susudio, good to have you here. And we enjoyed having you on last night. Hello, Bill and Largo, she says. John says, I love the Filmation, Tarzan, Zorro, and Lone Ranger and Flash Gordon cartoons. Yeah, they were wonderful. I grew up with that stuff. Really did. And Susudio saying hello to everyone. See what Goji has to say here. The Flash Gordon animated film has been in limbo for decades because it involves Ming providing arms to Hitler. He's right. There is a scene in that in which shows because Flash Gordon, it actually occurs during or right around the time of World War II on Earth. And there is a scene where Hitler and the Nazis are in it, and yes, Ming had provided them with the V2 rockets that were so deadly.
For those who are comic book nerds like myself out there, Alex Ross, who is one of my favorite artists on modern comics, he actually did an adaptation of that story not too many years ago. It was called Zeitgeist, and it definitely it picks right up in that, and it covers the classic Alexander Raymond style, but it also has a couple of in jokes and it touches on the De Laurentiis film as well. But the storyline is very much about Ming working with the powers that be during World War II behind the scenes, as being the puppet master of what was going on in the world wars. So it's a very interesting story.
Alex Raymond worked on Flash Gordon strip all the way up until he was actually drafted into the Army during World War II. Boba Hicks says, I'm going to look up that Filmation Tarzan after this stream. Now, let me tell you something, Boba Hicks and everybody else. The prints on those, all of them exist, but they're not in a very good quality. The closest you're going to get to an actual release, they released, I think, the half of the first season of that show on a DVD set, and originally there was only maybe 1 or 2 episodes that was available in a compilation series called the 70s that they released. And then they actually released a series that was a little cleaner than what you can find elsewhere if you're sailing on the high seas. Those were out there. Every episode was released, I think in MP4 format, or it might have been MKV. I can't remember, but I did burn a DVD of those, and some of those episodes are the quality of the film itself is pretty rotten, and that's because the actual copies of those, while they may exist somewhere, they've never actually been released. All this was early VHS tapes that was made of the series and transferred over.
Right. I don't think any of the originals have ever been remastered into any new format, which is unfortunate. As World Made of Cardboard points out,
what does exist.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say.
I was going to say
go ahead. We've got a slight delay. You go ahead.
Yeah, it is, and it's StreamYard's fault. What I was going to say was what does exist of the Tarzan series, and this is also as well as all of Filmation's back catalog, including, if you remember, Tarzan and Super 7. They had Web Woman, Manta and Moray, and Super Stretch and Micro Woman and all that. None of that stuff exists, even in what's in personal collections and back catalogs, is in releasable format, and some of it is wrapped up in film rights and to copyrights and stuff, to the point where it will never ever see the light of day. And Shaken's Hammer says the mystery of Princess Aurora's mother. Yeah, that I would say that she was probably one of many concubines. And let's see, what was World Made of Cardboard? So the full Flash Gordon cartoon movie is on YouTube, but the quality is not that great, and I'm not sure about how legal it is. The legalities of that are interesting, to say the very least. It has never had an official release. The copy I have has got Japanese subtitles on it.
Yeah. Now the Filmation cartoon Flash Gordon that was out. There is a DVD at least. I have that. I don't know that they ever did a
Yeah,
Blu-ray
it's
update.
both seasons of the cartoon
Yeah,
show. But
but not the film.
now the film is a whole separate ball of wax, and like I said, it follows Raymond's comic strip to the T, including the fact that Flash was a polo player. He wears
Mhm.
jodhpurs at the beginning of the movie and doesn't gain his signature red shirt and blue pants until much later on. Uh, Dr. Zarkov held them at gunpoint and made them get on the rocket ship to go to Mongo with him, just like he did in the comic strip. Yeah, and it was, I would say, for the time, very much a more PG-13 type of film, and it was playing in. I think it was played one time in prime time on television,
Well, even
and
the
then
Raymond comic
never ever
comic
seen it.
strips were pretty racy at some points. I mean, with the costuming
They
and even the
were.
story. But it
Well,
was a different time.
yeah, the Princess Aurora and Dale Arden often wore very skimpy clothing, and a lot of times there was a lot of bondage featured in there, where the girls would be chained up or tied up to the wall, and of course Ming would be over there menacing them. And at the time, Ming was portrayed more as an Oriental type character with Oriental features, and
Mhm.
they actually colored him yellow, the Yellow Peril,
Yes,
and
that was common at
that
that time period, the 30s and 40s.
yeah, as a matter of fact, the metal bikini that Princess Leia featured in her slave costume on Jedi was reminiscent very much of that, and on purpose, because as I'm sure everyone well knows, George Lucas wanted to do the Flash Gordon movie, and he couldn't because De Laurentiis had already got the rights to it. So he adapted his ideas into Star Wars, including that opening crawl that you see is straight from the old Flash Gordon movie serials.
Mm. Yeah, definitely some heavy inspiration there.
And Gojitron brings up another point. Another lost cartoon is Jana of the Jungle. She was the second feature in the Godzilla Power Hour. I very much remember Jana of the Jungle. She
Mhm.
had platinum blonde or almost white hair, and she was actually in the jungles of South America, which is not too far from Guatemala, if I'm not mistaken.
That's true. There was also another similar or derivative character on the Super Friends. What was her name?
Rana,
Rima, Rana, something like that. I remember
Rima
because
or Rana,
I think it might have been Rima. Goji-chan would probably know, but she had kind of like the white
Gojitron will
hair and
know.
she featured in some of the later Super Friends episodes as kind of being the jungle girl that helped them out.
I remember vaguely remember her. I have all of the Super Friends episodes on actual release DVDs in there. The order in which that they were released was atrocious, though it's hard to
Oh,
watch them in the order that they need to be watched in. And the fact that they split Challenge of the Super Friends up the way they did was uh, whoever did that should be in prison.
well, what was confusing too is the name of the show changed from season to season. I mean, it was, there was the Super Friends, there was the all new Super Friends hour, there was the Challenge of the Super Friends, there was probably two or three other ones. There was the Superpowers, legendary Superpowers, which was a later one. So they're all different series. They just kind of followed in that, from year to year. So it's like, well, which one goes where? You gotta do a little
Yeah,
investigating.
you do. And Gojitron says Rima the Jungle Girl. I knew he would come through
Hmm.
for us. And
Yep,
then Shaitan's Hammer brings up that there were a lot of Jungle Girls. Sheena, I remember also. They did a pretty rotten movie with Tanya Roberts in it as playing the titular Sheena, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, but the comics were great, although they got censored. Yeah, they did. A lot of that stuff is censored to this very day. Like Siverac, 1900 to 1939 was the golden age of everything prior to government regulations and censorship. The age of
hmm,
conservatism is really a post-war product. Before that stuff was wild and free. And he's got a point there. The second Weissmuller Tarzan movie called Tarzan and His Mate,
oh
featuring
yeah,
Maureen O'Sullivan as the titular Jane. She wore a quite racy outfit in that, and there was actually a scene where Tarzan threw her in the water and pulled her outfit off of her, and she swam naked in that. And for years and years and years, those actual scenes that were shown in the theaters back then of her swimming naked in the water were censored from the Saturday morning replays that we watched as kids after the cartoons were over.
That's right.
And
The human form is not to be viewed and admired, because that might give kids ideas. I'm like,
Right.
wait a minute,
Rest
you
in
can
peace,
show
Tanya Roberts.
violence. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I never have understood. You can show explosions and violence, but you can't show, the human form, which is something natural. You can show unnatural stuff, but whatever.
Well, let's go back up to what World Made of Cardboard was up to back at that time. He said, I vaguely remember Jonna. When she was on, I was stomping my brother's Hot Wheels cars with my Shogun Warriors and Godzilla.
As one does.
See, Gojitron says Shauna the She-Devil, which I also am aware of, is my preferred jungle girl. And of course, Boba Hicks is very interested in this saucy stuff we're talking about. And Pope in the house. I'm going to need a link for research purposes, he says. We'll take care of you there, Pope. Good to see you in, man. Glad to see you today, Pope.
Now, I think Shauna the She-Devil got a recent adaptation with, was it Dynamite Comics? They brought her back and did a new story.
Dynamite Comics did quite a bit of stuff. They did the Lone Ranger. They did Phantom. Quite a bit of stuff.
Green Hornet.
Dynamite. Yeah, and the collected of those are worth quite a bit of money. I know the comic shop was wanting so much for them, I wasn't going to buy them last time I went, which was about 2 years ago. A British company had the rights to most of the Filmation library, but they went bankrupt. A lot of the Filmation library was owned by Classics Media at one time. That sounds familiar, doesn't it? That's how DreamWorks Television got a hold. I think Entertainment Rights got it after Classics Media got it. It went to Entertainment Rights. Entertainment Rights was acquired by DreamWorks. DreamWorks was acquired by Universal.
So you got to know, somewhere in somebody's vault, there's a lot of original stuff that we'd sure like to see.
And a lot of that stuff doesn't exist in any playable format whatsoever. I mean, it's television quality, but it's not DVD or, God forbid, Blu-ray quality stuff at all. And I don't know that there's any money to be made in restoring that kind of stuff either. It's hard. Shaitan's Hammer says, I want She-Ra. And then Gojatron says, Shauna is Marvel, and she became Khazar's wife. Well, all right.
Okay.
Ben.
In the Savage Land. That's right. You had so many jungle girls, it's hard to keep them, keep them straight.
There were jungle men, too. There's Khazar, right. And I think there was one over there at DC Comics, too. I can't remember his name. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Bawana Beast is one.
Turok, Son of Stone, I think was his name. Was that DC Comics? Turok, Son of Stone.
I remember Turok. I don't remember if he was DC or if he was one of the independent ones.
Now, what was the company that released Magnus the Robot Fighter?
Oh, shoot. It was the same company that did Nexus. Let me think. Or Solar was another one they did. Man of the Atom.
See, that's the same company that also did the Space Family Robinson, which when I was a kid, I thought was Lost in Space television show, but the Space Family Robinson comic book was not the Lost in Space television show by any means.
Was it Key Comics?
Gold Key Comics. There you go.
Key?
Thank you, sir. Gold Key, yes. And ZCD99 says Arak. We're talking about Arak, Son of Thunder. I was mentioning him earlier when I said that I'm going to be making a custom Arak figure. And Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. Yeah, that was something of. He was in the same category as Magnus the Robot Fighter. Now, of course,
and they made a video game with him not too long ago. It was pretty popular.
Magnus Robot Fighter? Really? They made a video game of that?
I'm sorry, Turok.
Okay,
Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. I wish they'd make a robot fighter one, but
Well, here's the thing, though. A lot of people don't understand is the stuff that Jim and I are talking about now with Magnus Robot Fighter. This stuff didn't come out in the 70s. It came out in the 60s. Okay,
Right.
so it's
But
a little older than we
yeah,
are.
we
We
inherited
knew
a lot
about
of
it.
those things.
Well, we knew about it because, in my case, it was somebody's older brother had these comics, and we got
Right.
into them.
And you could find them at swap meets for, just a few pennies. There was always, they were around for a while, and now they've been reprinted in some form or fashion over the years too.
Yeah, John brings up a point here. The company BCI released several DVD sets of Filmation shows, Jason the Star Command, Space Sentinels. Yeah, a lot of that got released, and that was I want to say early 2000s, mid 2000s, and it those companies that like BCI and Entertainment Rights, it was split between these companies. Okay, so like Entertainment Rights may have this catalog of characters, BCI would have this catalog of characters. Both companies, one company is acquired by another one goes out of business. Who gets the stuff?
Right.
And
That's like the
I
old
don't.
Spider-Man cartoon. You cannot get the entire series from well, there's the 60 series, and then there was another series, I guess was in the was that late 80s, early 90s? It was pretty popular.
Yeah, that was the one that the action figures were based upon that
Right.
that were very, very popular back in the day. But yeah,
You can get a couple episodes here and there, but not the whole series. And now the rights to that are who knows who has them.
that thing also was in serial format, if I'm not mistaken.
It was. Yeah, that was it had Madam Web and it had a whole long storyline.
Trying to watch that whole thing is hard because you have to see each and every episode. They were numbered episodes. I mean, it was on the title card. It was chapters.
And there were some serious cliffhangers in there that never got resolved. Like, Mary Jane disappeared from continuity because of something either the Hobgoblin or the Green Goblin did, and they never resolved it in the cartoon, either because it got canceled or they just didn't get around to it. I don't know.
Well, the final season of that was kind of a mishmash as well, if I'm not mistaken. It was called something totally different.
Spider-Man Unlimited, I think.
Isis, yes, Isis, the television show. Was very popular. It was a live action filmation done at the same time that Captain Marvel Shazam was done.
Then they teamed up a couple times. They did some crossovers.
Yeah, wait a minute. It says Pope Turok was something before a game. Yes, it was. The game was based upon an old character comic book. Yeah.
I think he was originally a comic book character.
He was. Turok the dinosaur hunter, but I also remember a character called Son of Stone that had a name similar, might have been Turok as well. I don't know. I mean, a lot of those nonsense names like Fan Foom and all that came out back in the day are kind of meshed together in my mind. Yeah, people, I know who Fin Fan Foom is.
Oh yeah.
But says he loves the 1994 Spider-Man. I think the 1994 Spider-Man was probably a pretty good adaptation of Spider-Man of them all.
Yeah, they definitely did some really good stories.
And Bjorn Organ says he loves all the pulp heroes and characters. Yeah, you get it. You get back to the roots of that. Go back and read the original Doc Savage novels. You will see the roots of a lot of things that happened later. Doc Savage had a Fortress of Solitude before Superman ever thought about having one.
Well, it's like the Phantom had a cave before Batman.
Yeah, he did. In the front of it was a skull.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the Phantom lore, that skull was not sculpted by man. It just happened to look like a skull because of the way it had formed over time.
Very mystical.
Yes. Gojatron says, anyone know that there was a Turok animated film in the early 2000s? I did not. More
I have not.
information.
Yeah, I have not seen it, but I have heard of it, and it was. I think it was. Did it go to like direct to DVD or something? it was not.
I'm not aware of it. Carl's going to have to tell us a lot more about that. Please do elaborate. If not today, send us a DM, something. I mean, we're on the edge of our seats now. John says, why can't we get cool toys and shows like these anymore? Because the blue hairs won't let us.
Yeah, now everybody wants to self-insert their own character and cosplay rather than tell a good story, in my opinion.
Well, I think there's something to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm going to bring myself back up. I'm sure everybody's tired of looking at Tarzan and his buddies there for right now. So here's my ugly mug back on screen. How's the show been today there, Largo? It's been pretty good. I think everything's gone rather well. What do you think?
I think it went well. Everybody seems to be fairly well entertaining themselves in the chat. So if they're not entertained by us, they're entertaining each other, and that's always a good thing.
Well, and my show, like many others that are out there here on the internet, is not so much about Largo's and I's heads talking on the screen. It's about you in the chat and giving you a chance to interact with each other and with us, and allowing us to interact with you. And that's what I find most endearing. Yes, at the beginning of the show, I want to do another shout out here to my Patreons. I have a new Patreon. Denise Ocean Breathe Salty is a new Patreon. She became a Patreon of mine last night.
Cool.
She's not with us today because she had to work today, but so we got Johnny Sorensen and Ocean Breathe Salty or our latest new Patreons. If you want to be a Patreon, you see the link there. It's in the picture. Go to that link and become a patron of this channel and support what we're doing here. We certainly do appreciate that. Big applause to the Patreons. Thank you so much.
It is cool to see our little Patreon family growing ever so slightly, but
Yes,
we're getting.
And there are some good reasons to be a patron of this channel. I do have some exclusive stuff that we do over there on Patreon. We have Patreon meetups every now and then, not as many as I would like, but we do get together over there. I think Rolo wants to get together and show us some laser sharks here soon. So stay tuned. We might be having a laser shark session here soon, and you will get a chance to put your own 2 cents worth in into what you want our laser sharks to look like.
And as as the show grows and evolves, we'll add some other things to the Patreon down the road.
And of course, got to go to the store, guys. You guys have a good day. You too, World Made of Cardboard. Glad to have you in. Boba Hicks says great stream. Our friend No Way Farm says the show has been great.
Thanks.
And Hope says, haha, heck yeah. Yeah, it has been a good show today. It's been a palate cleansing show for me, Largo. It really has.
Well, good. I mean, this is what it's all about: talking toys and pulp heroes and pop culture.
Pop culture.
I almost said
pop culture.
Yeah.
Remembering the days of our past, and that's what I like to do with my toys. Is also kind of just get a little taste of being a child again. And I want to thank my community here for being my friend and supporting me, not just monetarily, but I mean mentally. It's been a big help here, especially in the last few hours and days. Let's just say. So it's been good. Yes, Wilhelm. If you watch a portion of last night's show, you can hear how Wilhelm became Charles Atlas simply by becoming my Patreon.
That's right.
No, we're not going to do that at all. No way. No, no, we're not going down that road. Yeah, I do think that I'll touch on this before I go, and I'm not going to go too deeply into it. There are nefarious forces behind the scenes who are manipulating some of the conservative voices on air to fight with one another. And I think we may have experienced a little small bit of that in the last few days. I don't know. So,
yeah, that's fair speculation.
Pope says, I hopped on the stream the other day, Bill, and I can't believe how much it's changed from those first streams. Well, as I go, I get better. And it gets a little easier as we learn how to manipulate the tools that we have before us to work with. And it is a juggling act, I have to say.
We're like cold yogurt. We get culture.
Lax Silverex's excellent stream, and it was an excellent stream. And let's just say that the new word here today is from He-Man, and it's what they said to each other whenever it was time to go, and that was good journey. That's going to be what we say here today, Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures, just like Master Eldor does over there on his channel, like Todd at Hebrew says on his channel. That's what we say here, as we say a good journey to you all, and we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.